Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Welcome back to Construct Your Life. This is Austin Linney here. I haven't decided if this podcast is for the people or for me and you, because we might just go, who knows where we're going to go.
I know. Right?
I know. I got introduced to you by Mr. Mark Simpson. We're both in the real estate space, but really we've spent more time talking about life and just things that we can do to better this world, to leave it in a better place. What I want to do here first, Judah, is get you to tell everybody, who you are, a little bit about yourself, and then we'll kind of get going from there.
All right. I'm Judah Swagerty. I'm the co-founder of B&B Amplify. We are a brand marketing and automation company for real estate professionals. And so we started our business back in 2019. We grew this business organically. And now we are actually in the process of launching our first book, multi-author book project called Reputation Driven. We are very, very excited about it. And so this is where we're at now, and so we want to really be able to impact the world through stories. I think there's a lot of healing work that has to happen. I think the best way that can happen is through stories and through the experiences of other people. And so, this is how we connected. And this is why now, through divine timing, right, we are on this podcast. So it's a little bit about me.
Yeah. Well, one of the specialties that me and my business partner specialize in is stories, right? The story that you tell yourself. And it's been a theme today on the meetings. The stories that you tell yourself can either uplift you, or they can negatively affect you.
Yeah.
And, so many people I've met, I'm sure you have too, that are successful, but yet they're so unhappy still because of past stories. And I think what a lot of people do, especially type A's, is I think they try to out-earn their problems.
That makes a total sense. Yeah. I think you're right because, we haven't been able to have, the freedom or the luxury, most of us, to really understand how to heal ourselves. The body, when you cut your arm, it automatically begins to go through the healing process. But when it comes to feelings, now feelings is a different story, right? Feelings are, you really got to be able to tap into the emotional intelligence of who you are, learning to let go, learning to allow the processes to work in its favor for you. And I think a lot of times we don't know how to do that. Many of us. I think a lot of times we don't know how to just trust the process, lean on other people for support. I think we live in a culture nowadays where we feel weak and feeble if we ask for help, and so that's got to change. And I know as men, we have a harder time asking for help, especially when we're dealing with emotional pain. We have a harder time asking for help, but I think it's changing. I think we understand that it not only does it take a village to raise a child, but it takes a village to help the healing process. And again, that's why you have this podcast and what you do, because you're a part of that village. And your message is a healing message in and of itself. So applaud you for that. And I had a chance to watch some of your interviews, and I like the work that you're doing. So, keep that going, brother, for real.
Well, what's interesting about in business, right, as your team is growing, as a CEO and as you hire on more people, you have to change or the business will suffocate you. Like you have to learn to let go. You have to grow as a person. But the same could be said in your personal life. If the same lessons are hitting you constantly over and over again. You know what's the great thing about men, especially 30 to 40-year-old men? This is my favorite thing because I do this on a daily basis. They think they're so sneaky with their patterns. And I'm like, you're so obvious. Like, it's so obvious what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
But they're so in their own crap that they don't understand that it's the same. If you look at that thing that's happening to you over and over again, I would venture to guess that there's something you're not dealing with.
Yeah. You know what? It's a lot of, again, like you said, those past stories. What would be, in your experience, what do you think is a good personal strategy? And because I know your story. I'm sure your audience knows I'm sure you've shared it. And that's an amazing story. The way you've been able to make pivots is very inspirational. In your own experience, like, how do you feel like what we're missing as men, not just as men, but just as a society, as all together?
Men, and I'm guilty and still learning every day. Men have an ability to, for lack of a better analogy, feed everybody else. I'm going to go make the money. I'm going to put off my health. I'm not going to give, I'm not going to relax. I'm not going to go play golf because it's more important that I'm not going to do things that I like. I'm going to make sure that my wife's taken care of and the kids and we have a house and that's great. But you can't pour out your cup from an empty cup. And, after this interview, I'm getting a massage. And because I'm a coach, I take on a lot of energy, but I didn't do this for years. It's only in the last 9 months, a year. That's not an option for me anymore. Like, it is my hour and a half to reset, close some loops. But here's what I know about myself. And Gary Vee said the same thing. I am more responsible to handing my money to somebody and saying, I'm going to do this than if I just did it myself. And so instead of beating myself for being that way, I can just set my life up where that's something that I do. And for me to be a better coach and a better person, I need that recharge. And the number one thing I see in men is I'm just going to go 90-0 until I break everything. I break my spouse. I break my employees. I break my body. I'm not going to care about my health because when I make $1 million, then I'm going to stop and smell the roses. But what you don't understand is those habits are so ingrained at that point that you can't stop. And the goalpost always does move. And so really it's about giving yourself permission to not have the answer.
I like that. Giving yourself permission to not have the answer. You know what? And it goes back to what you were saying about the cup. One of my favorite passages or scriptures is, you can't pour new wine into old wineskin, and you can't, we have to be able to see past our own self-limiting beliefs. And
what we did this week is I was out of town for a work conference, meeting with people. My other client, my other business partner was out of town doing some stuff for his other coaching program. And then my other one was playing golf all weekend with a friend. So nobody talked business for three days. We've been going hard for 8 months. And everybody's so much more relaxed right now. Everybody's so focused. And sometimes you can press that force too much. And then it becomes, I don't like this. Do you know how many entrepreneurs, I'm sure you've said it to yourself, why am I even doing this? Yes. Why did I even start this? You forget why you even got started in the first place.
And that's something I was just speaking with a business consultant a few days ago, and she was helping me work through some things. And I was asking myself in that conversation with her, why did I start this book project? Because it's just put a lot more pressure on me. And I was telling my wife, man, when this is done, I just got to relax, recharge for a week. We got to go somewhere and do something because, like you said, it's just, you're hearing stories. I'm hearing stories every day. And these stories, they start from when I thought I was nothing, I had to make a pivot, and now I'm becoming something, or I am that something. And so you take on a lot of that energy, and it's like, man. And then you got to maintain a business. You got to maintain a family. You know, I have 5 children. We homeschool, so we're prepping and getting ready for the new school year. And so there's a lot of pressure, and I'm really active in engaged with my family. So I feel like a lot of times I'm spread thin, but again, I have to remember why I do it. It's the bigger picture. We want to be able to impact people to where we can give people homes that are living on the street. We want to be able to feed bellies through. I would like to do expansion of what my grandmother's food ministry is all about. Her church feeds about 30,000 people per year. So I would like to get that to 300,000, people per year when it's all said and done. So,
you're allowing different aspects of the business, not the business, pardon me, to be your metric for success.
Yeah.
Not the money that you're bringing in. Because what I've studied, right? I've interviewed multiple people, and when they lose it all, they're not upset about the cars. They're not upset about the house. You know what they're upset about?
Yeah.
Has my community, what I am in the community, has that lost face?
Mm-hmm.
And so what does that tell you? Oh, they were identifying with the wrong metric in the first place. Dude, 5 years ago, I was an overweight, unhappy, in a bad marriage, in a shitty career, alcoholic. And so everything that I'm doing right now, I would have gave my right arm to be doing, and yet I'm in the middle of it, not eternally grateful. How many of us do that?
We do.
I rode on a private plane Friday with a billionaire from Vegas. Like,
yeah.
I mean, come on. Like, I mean, dude, my 21-year-old self would be like, let's go.
Yeah.
It's like, but we become so conditioned to like, oh, that's just the way it's supposed to be. Or is me helping my client's father, who's 52 years old, get sober from alcohol to restart his life? Is that more important? And that's where you and I jive.
I think so.
It's we might get lost in a success ladder, but we can always bring it back to this is bigger than us. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's much bigger than us, man. And I love the way you've been able to make those pivots, because again, your story is very inspirational, and you should be every day laying down with the basis of gratitude. I mean, look what you have been able to do, Austin. And anybody that, knows your story should be applauding you right now, and should be looking at that like, hey, if he can do it, I can do it. And that is the case. That is true. If you can do it, I can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. It's just about us understanding like who we are. We got to ask those questions. Who am I? What is my purpose? Why am I here? These questions are very important. And I think a lot of times we don't give ourselves the opportunity to even ask those questions. And then if we do ask those questions, are we going to like the stories that come up?
So yeah, I travel a lot. We live in an RV. I've been to almost every city in America. I studied all the religions. I grew up Catholic. I grew up Baptist. You're African American. I'm white. I spent most of my life next to Hispanics in the restaurant hotel business. I'm very familiar with Europeans. I've spent time in Europe. So I'm I know all people, religions, this city, that city. My number one hope is that you would all wake up and realize that we're all the same fucking person.
Yeah.
We all hurt.
Yeah.
We all love. We all dream. And we all really, at the end of the day, want our neighbor to be better. Now, what we're sold is that we're all different. This city's better. This place is different. And if you would realize that we all really want the same thing.
Yeah.
Then you would realize that you can connect with said neighbor, and as a community, we can rise up and affect change in a positive way.
And you're right, man. I was talking to a young man the other day. Well, he's probably around my age, but we were talking about just the physics of the human body. And if I can't see myself in your eye, like Austin, when I'm literally looking into your eyes, right? Creation is so magnificent. When I'm looking into your eyes, I can literally see the reflection of myself bouncing off the moisture of your eyes, right? And so to me, your eyes are reflections. It's like a mirror. And, when I'm able to do that and when I'm able to look deep to see my own reflection, I'm not going to do harm to self if I'm not going to do harm to you. So it's like, we got to be able to see ourselves in each other. Like, I got to be able to see myself in you, and you got to be able to see yourself in me. That means I got to be able to love myself enough to see myself in you, to love you even if I don't know you. So I don't have to know you to really fall in love with you. You know what I mean?
Exactly. One of the greatest exercises I've ever heard in my life was from a yoga retreat my friend told me. And I almost I got up and I walked away because it was one of those moments where it's like everything made sense. So here's the exercise. You write down 3 people that you admire that you view as great people and you write down their names and you write down 10 qualities that they have in them that you inspire to be. And so you do all that. And then the person that's leading the workshop says, now I want you to cross out all 3 of their names and I want you to write your name above it. Because the only way that you would be able to see those qualities in them is if you had them within yourself.
If anybody is listening to this, right, they need to pause. They need to pause this right now to actually do that exercise. That is awesome, bro. Like that. You know how powerful that is? That is so powerful, bro. I never even heard that exercise. I'm going to actually do that because I don't think there's a level that we can get to where we need to stop doing that. You know what I mean? Like, you probably still do that exercise, just to remind yourself.
Well, think about it this way. When I send my employees or people that I coach and they go to an event, right? They go to a real estate conference or a marketing conference, or they hire a coach that's not me. I say, what is it that you think that I'm asking you to get out of that? Well, I need to learn Airbnb. I need to learn marketing. No, not even close. Why? I need you to look at the person that has the 1,000 units, the $10 million marketing company, and I need you to know that they are no different than you. And when you get in rooms like that, you've been in rooms like that, I've been in rooms like that. The guy that just flew us on the plane that's a billionaire was wearing jeans. He started from nothing.
Yeah.
Realizing that we have to take people down off the pedestal and we have to put ourselves up on the pedestal. And we have to say, you know what? We have to ask ourselves 2 questions, actually. Why not me? And what if it goes right?
And I would like to add another question. Why not now?
There you go. Now you got all the components in one place.
Yes.
Perfect.
Because the best time to get started is the present. The present is the gift. Because I can only foresee, right? I can only foresee my future, but my future is happening now. You know what I mean? Like, my past is in the past, but my past just was 5 seconds ago. And so another thing too, I like to also look at it, like when I come into contact with people like you, Austin, I like to savor these moments because this is my history. This is the timeline of my existence. And I'm engaging with you and sharing with you on an intimate level to where, like, these are our moments. And we're going to share this moment with those who choose to watch and who choose to listen. But this is our moment. And forever into my life, my future, you're going to be here, stamped. Your presence, your soul, your purpose, the mission, everything that you're sharing is here, stamped forever. It doesn't leave. It doesn't go nowhere. And so I have to also look back on these experiences and be like, okay, all of these great people who came into my life, or sort of like the steps of the ladder. You know, they're helping me get to that pedestal that I want to get to. I just got to learn to lean on them, step on them, not in a way to where I'm stepping down on them, but utilizing them in such a way to where it's like, man, his story was so helpful. There's something that he said that resonated. You know, there's something that she's doing and how she's engaging her child. I need to be able to take that and engage my children in the same way. You know, it's sort of like how I think of it like, you know, when it comes to parenting, I always like to tell myself, I love to nurture like a mother and discipline like a father. Now, what does that mean? Because a lot of times we may talk about disciplinary actions as a father being like hard and strict, but no, man, it's really mimicking the behavior of what you see your mother doing in terms of her nurturing, because you were nurtured. You know, the man does not, you know, he's got to be born from his mother. And so when he's born from the mother, he's nurtured by the mother. He's being nurtured as he's growing, but there's also that capabilities where we need to be able to take a step back as men and say, man, I have the ability to do the same thing. And I think that's where we're kind of missing. I think that's where we're missing. You know, when you're talking about, you know, when you're talking about us as human beings going back into our old stories, that starts with childhood. Like at the end of the day, it's like, where do we learn to really allow these forces not to affect us? You talk about what we're sold. You know, there's got to be a time where we have to be able to not allow these forces to affect us. And you know, I think the people are healing. I think the people are really want this healing work. And I love what you're doing, man. I mean, you know, it's awesome, bro.
You have an opportunity to make a decision to say, you know, where I think it's the same thing I tell every alcoholic. Look, I got one shitty thing for you and I got one great thing for you. One, your life is a fucking train wreck and you're a nightmare. Okay. And this is not okay. You're making a mess of your family members, your spouses, your husband. That's not great. But because you were the one that got you here, you're the only one that has the key to get yourself. There's so much power in that. Because we spend our whole life saying, no, it's because of this, it's because of that, it's because of this outside force. You're the one that has the key.
Yes.
And so the moment that you unlock the door and you say, you know what,